Prepare yourself for the terror. The prison of madness, where few enter and none return.
Welcome to Unsung Horrors with Lance and Erica.
Leave all your sanity behind. It can't help you now.
Welcome to Unsung Horrors. This is part 2 of a 2-part Horror Gives Back bonus episode, where we are covering our picks for the Horror Gives Back Challenge, a different category for every day of the month in October. If you have not already, you can go back and listen to part 1 to hear the first half of our picks. In part 1, we also did our drawing for our winners for those who participated in the challenge, so you can listen for that there. Otherwise, feel free to listen on to the rest of our picks, starting with Giallo. So, Lance, what was your pick for Giallo?
I picked Who Saw Her Die, 1972 by Aldo Lado. I don't know if that's how you say it. This is, I think it was on Tubi, but it's really good. Basically, it's a child is killed, and her father's looking for clues to solve the case. There was another child murdered years earlier that seemed connected, where the murderer is a woman in all black with the black veil. That's kind of the whole mystery and giallo element surrounding this. But it had a fantastic score by Morricone, and it included like this children's choir kind of loop that was played whenever the killer is on screen, the point of view of the killer. Which is super effective and like kind of creeps you out. It does get a little bogged down and overambitious with mystery elements, figuring out who the killer is. And I read a couple of reviews about, people being a little overwhelmed by how many, red herrings are kind of thrown their way. But this one has some super creepy kills, all of which, well, not all of them, but the majority are children.
Yay!
So, I don't know if you've seen this one, but if you did, I expect this to be added to maybe your top 4 at some point.
Ooh, okay.
I definitely recommend it.
Nice. All right, child murder. I'm in.
Yeah, it starts off with a child murder. Just you'll be sold the first 5 minutes.
Oh, this movie knows the way to my heart.
It's adorable.
Okay, so my pick for Giallo was a movie that I bought the Arrow release for. It's been sitting on my shelf for a couple years, and I finally got around to watching it, and I fucking hated it. Which is funny because a lot of people who I follow really like this movie. Like, most people who I follow on Letterboxd were giving it 3.5 stars. It is The Pajama Girl Case, 1977, directed by Flavio Mogherini. And this movie drags like nobody's business. It's got 2 timelines, which I don't necessarily have a problem with, like us having like 2 timelines and then you figure out how the 2 come together at the end. But it didn't effectively do that for me at all. I didn't care about anyone in the movie. Ray Milland was in it, and as an older detective, and he just looked confused the whole time. It has like some really inspired shots in it, and it's got an okay Riz Ortolani score, but oh man, this was one of my least favorite of October. I was a little bit mad at the movie.
That sucks for the Giallo pick.
Yeah. I did watch one other Giallo, which was from that Forgotten Gialli set that Vinegar Syndrome put out. It was Trauma, directed by Leon Kilmovsky, and that wasn't good either. So, which is funny because Leon Kilmovsky also directed one of my actual picks in the another category for The Devil in the Title, because he does a lot of Paul Naschy movies, and I don't know why I picked a Paul Naschy movie. Anyway, we'll get into that when we get to that category. What did you do for Vampire?
The Kiss of the Vampire, 1963. It has one of the best cold opening scenes, like ever. It's so fucking captivating. It's a Hammer horror. The whole premise is like newlyweds are in a motor car and they break down in Bavaria. They're like, I think they're on their honeymoon, and then they go to this castle where vampires take the wife, and it's kind of like party time, and it has an awesome original take on how to kill vampires, which I've never seen or seen since in any movies or books. But yeah, I think this was also added to Shudder, and I think it might be on some other streaming like Tubi, but has a great score by James Bernard, who does most of Terrence Fisher's Hammer horror movies. That was my pick for vampire.
Nice. The vampire category is the one I actually watched the most movies in this month. I've got 8 movies outside of my actual pick that I watched.
Oh, shit.
Are vampire. Yeah. I mean, if you count Salem's Lot, I know it's a miniseries, but I count it because it's long.
Yeah.
Salem's Lot was a rewatch. I hadn't seen it in years, and it does not hold up. So just saying. Blackula, which does hold up, of course.
Hell yeah.
Vampire Lovers, which will always hold up. Dracula Has Risen from the Grave. Fantastic. And then some one other rewatch was Nosferatu. John and I went to the drive-in, and they did a live score of Nosferatu at the Blue Starlight Drive-In. So that was neat. And then a few first-time watches, World of the Vampires, a Spanish or Mexican horror movie, was okay. Count Dracula, 1970, Jess Franco, god-awful.
That's with Christopher Lee, right?
Yeah. And
I like that one.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's definitely boring. And I remember
Yes.
thinking, like, nobody will like this, but I am into it.
My God, all right. And then another one that was a TV movie called I Desire. It was something I saw Amanda post. And so originally my pick was going to be The World of the Vampires. But then I saw Amanda post about this other one that was a TV movie. So again, I made another switch because of Amanda. And I'm going to say thank you again, Amanda, for this one. It's a TV movie from 1979, just called Vampire. So you have to search Vampire 1979 to find it. It's on YouTube. It stars Richard Lynch as the vampire, Jason Miller, Father Karras in The Exorcist, for people who don't know Jason Miller. And Lance, this is for you. Joe Spinell is in this movie.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. It's not great. It's a TV movie, so it doesn't have much teeth, pun intended. But I had a lot of fun with it. Richard Lynch chews up the scenery. Joe Spinell shows up. Jason Miller, I always think is great. So I enjoyed it. I mean, TV movies, you have to go in with a sort of different scale when you're watching them. Like, you can't expect a lot of shocks or gore or anything like that. You have to know like the playing field that you're on with those. But I really enjoyed this one.
Nice.
Yeah. And then 60s horror was a Mexican horror movie, Kiss from Beyond the Grave, directed by Carlos Toussaint, 1963. So this started off moving really quickly and then completely fizzled out. It's basically about a guy who marries a woman for her money, or family money, but then he finds out that, they don't actually have any money. And so he is trying to drive her crazy to commit suicide so he can collect the insurance on her. And it takes way too long to get to the inevitable end. Like, where it's going. And it's just kind of all over the place. I had really high hopes for this one, but I don't know. I guess there's a good reason only 30 people on Letterboxd have seen this movie. I mean, I had some good ones for 60s horror that I watched outside of that. I rewatched Spider Baby, and then watched Horror Castle and Curse of the Werewolf, and those were all good. So,
Curse of the Werewolf was my pick.
Okay.
So I did a double feature, both Terrence Fisher Curse of the Werewolf 61, and then his Phantom of the Opera 62. Curse of the Werewolf was pretty good. It was a strange Hammer film to me. It had that weird extra long setup with weird narration that was covering like the birth of the werewolf, which is Oliver Reed.
Mm-hmm.
Just really slow. It has a nice bleak ending, which I liked a lot, which is pretty much in every werewolf movie. But
Yeah.
this one felt a little more tragic. It had, being Hammer, gorgeous sets. And I thought the werewolf makeup was pretty impressive for 1961.
Yeah, I liked it. I love Oliver Reed. But yeah, it definitely took its sweet time getting anywhere.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And that kid, there was a kid that cast as a young Oliver Reed.
Mm-hmm.
He had like those doughy eyes, like that was like perfect. If there was like ever a miniature Oliver Reed, that kid,
Yeah.
it was a good cast. But Phantom of the Opera, this is probably, I'm not like a huge Phantom of the Opera fan, but I've seen a few versions, and this one's definitely been my favorite.
Oh, nice.
Like, I think it surpasses the Robert Englund one, but it's super short, just great pacing, great performances. This one is about like the Phantom. Honestly, I don't know like the original like Phantom of the Opera version, but this one, the Phantom sells his music to publish because he needs money.
Mm-hmm.
To some like asshole who steals the music and puts his name on it, and then the asshole starts, creating these these theatrical operas using his name. So the Phantom gets real pissed off and wants to kill everybody. But this one's good. Terrence Fisher, he really can't do wrong in my book for Hammer films. But this is one of his stronger ones in my opinion. I really liked it.
Nice. What did you watch for Viva la France?
What did I picked The Pack, which was a 2010 film directed by Frank Richard. I had never really heard of it. I was just kind of searching French horror, and this one popped up.
Mm-hmm.
It's about like this. The lead is this real tough girl. She's hitchhiking. A guy picks her up. They stop by like this bar. And the guy goes into the bathroom and never comes out. So she's like, where'd this guy go? He's kind of cute. He's cool. I'm going to go check out on him. She goes in and she's knocked out. And then it becomes very Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where that guy lives with his mom and they basically like cage and kill people. They're kind of backwoodsy people. But it has really good performances. I did notice they had a lot of long takes, which was really impressive. Camera following characters or panning throughout houses and stuff. But The Pack actually refers to like these crazy creatures that I guess it's like a ritual thing that they do. They kidnap these people and hang them outside of their house and slice them open, and the blood drips into this, onto the soil, and these cool creature designs, super creepy guys come out of the ground and start like feeding on these people and drinking the blood. The ending, it gets a little rushed and ridiculous towards the end, but I was kind of expecting that, so it was a lot of fun. But yeah, it's worth seeing.
Okay.
I think it was streaming on Prime, but yeah, check it out.
All right. So Viva la France for me was 2006's Them, directed by Xavier Palude and David Moreau. I had the DVD for this on my shelf. I don't remember when I got it or where I got it, but it's just been there forever. And I was, when I was putting my list together for this challenge, I looked at it and I was like, oh, it's French. I can use that. And then I looked into it and I was like, okay, this is the movie that The Strangers is a remake of. So I've seen The Strangers. I don't like The Strangers. This is better than The Strangers, but I still don't like this movie. It does okay establishing tension. And maybe a lot of this is like a personal preference for me. I like to root for the villain. And in this case, and spoiler, I guess if anyone wants to see Them, whatever. In this case, the villain is children. And so therefore I'm not going to root for children. I'm not a fan of like these the home invasion movies, just especially when it's a couple. I tend to get annoyed with the couple, and I just am not into it. So I do have one other movie that came up, not for Viva la France, but it's directly related to this. So the director of the American remake, The Strangers, also directed a new movie called The Dark and the Wicked. Now, Alamo Drafthouse this year was doing secret screenings every weekend, all month for Dismember the Alamo. And Dismember the Alamo, for listeners, is generally like a one-day marathon of 5 movies. Instead of this year, they did secret screenings, one per Saturday. And John and I decided on Halloween, we're going to go to the secret screening. And the description of it was one of the best 2020 horror movies or something like that. I was fucking convinced they were going to be showing Possessor. Yeah. And the movie gets announced right before it, it has a little intro thing for it. And it's The Dark and the Wicked. This is probably the worst movie I've seen this year. And the best way that I can describe it would be to steal John's description of it. And he said, this is Blumhouse trying to make an A24 movie. I hate this fucking movie so much. And I know like when it hits like wide streaming or whatever, it's going to blow. It's going to be like, like what I said, I'll mention it and it's in next week's episode when we talk about some stuff from Fantastic Fest, but oh my God, I hated this movie. Literally, like you're sitting there waiting for something to happen. And when something is going to happen, it's so predictable. And then it just tries to be Hereditary, and it just tries to be every A24 movie, just like John said. I don't have a better way to describe it. I fucking hate that movie. It was, I just had to mention that because it was the worst movie I watched this year.
Well, yeah, I wasn't a fan of them either because of the kid aspect.
Yeah.
Because it's basically just a bunch of little kids shrieking and scaring easily panicked adults. That's like the whole movie turned out to be. And I'm just like, get out of here. Yeah.
When adults cannot figure out how to defeat children, I have I can't get on board with you whatsoever. Here, my one exception is Who Can Kill a Child, because eventually he does fucking mow down some children, but it's like, why is this so hard for people to kill children? I don't fucking understand it.
Yeah.
Anyway. So yeah, Them is not great. The Dark and the Wicked is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. And, moving on to mommy issues. What did you watch, Lance?
I picked Frightmare, also known as Cover Up from 1974. Mm. This is like a super polite British horror where they call migraines migraines, and they apologize pretty much for all intrusions that are happening. Excuse me, pardon the interruption. But I loved it. It was a lot of fun. It surrounds these. It's this married couple, Dorothy and Edmund Yates, who in the opening sequence, you learn that they're both psychotic. One of them murdered, as young parents, and they're institutionalized. But years later, they're released. And then you find out that the father actually faked his, his dementia or whatever he had to just take care and be with his wife, who was actually released. She's the one who's been doing all these murders. They have these daughters together. The father has a daughter from a previous marriage, and then they both have a daughter together. And the daughter kind of inherits these murderous, traits that they have, or that the mother has. So it's a real kind of slow burn. And then the daughter that actually is murderous in this, she is such like a manipulative little bitch that she plays her part so well that it almost pisses you off how much of a delinquent she is.
Oh, okay.
And a bitch she is like to everybody in the whole movie, especially the sister, the half sister that's taking care of her. But just some great performances. The mom is played by Sheila Davis, and she just brings the good. She layers on this creep factor, that you're kind of hoping for. And you may have seen the poster. It looks like it's like an old lady with a drill.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're hoping for, some crazy old lady, and that's her. She's perfect.
Nice.
But it has a really dark, ending that you really, I didn't see coming at all. And it pays off really well. But this was probably one of my top for the movie, top picks for October for sure.
Nice. All right. So my pick for Mommy Issues was Baby Blood, 1990. This was streaming on Canopy. And it's about a woman who becomes impregnated by a weird alien type vampire-esque worm creature. It kind of looks like a xenomorph thing a little bit, because eventually you do get to see it, but you didn't get really a gory birth scene. But there is plenty of blood in the rest of the movie, but it's so overly splattered that it looks fake. Like, I would have liked it. I know it's teetering on the comedy realm, but I would have liked it if they played it a little bit more straight. She can hear the baby alien thing talk to her while she's pregnant, and it makes her kill people because it needs blood.
What's that one movie where the girl's pregnant and the baby's? It's kind of like a recent movie.
Grace?
No, it's not Grace. Well, I'm just thinking out loud here now, but that's what it reminds me of. It sounds exactly like the same premise.
Oh, okay. It's okay. I've already forgotten most of it. I also rewatched Psycho for Mommy Issues, because that's the ultimate Mommy Issues movie. And then next category is streaming, and I watched The Hands of Orlok, the original, 1924, directed by Robert Wine, who also did The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. And this movie, if no one has seen it, and if your only exposure to that era of horror films is maybe Nosferatu and Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, I highly recommend this one. A pianist has his hands replaced with that of a killer, or at least he thinks he has. And it's just a really interesting movie. It's got a great violin score. It's really creepy. Yeah, so that's also streaming on Canopy, so I would definitely recommend checking that one out. I'm sure there's a nice release of it somewhere. Probably either Kino or Criterion's probably put it out, I'm sure. And then one other movie that I watched that was streaming on Tubi that I'm just going to... It's called Mummy Theme Park. And John told me about it because he watched it with a group of people. And I forgot how he explained it to me, but I watched it and I was like, this would make a perfect double feature with any Neil Breen movie. And that's all I'm going to say about Mummy Theme Park.
Mummy, like
yeah.
M-U-M-M.
M-U-M-M-Y, Mummy Theme Park, yeah. If you like Neil Breen movies, you will like the Mummy Theme Park. It is streaming on Tubi. That's all I'm going to say about that movie. What about you for streaming?
Streaming, I picked Terrified, which was 2018 release. That one, I also missed this one at Fantastic Fest when it was playing, and I heard a lot of good word of mouth stuff. But this one's on Shudder. It's a great Spanish horror. Basically just like paranormal activities occurring in multiple neighboring houses on a single street. Great sound design, legitimately creepy stuff. Like some of the makeup, like a kid gets hit by a car and then he comes out of his grave and goes back to the house and just sits at the table dead. It's just really good stuff. Great atmosphere, good creep factor. The final act might understandably lose some people because it gets super weird and it kind of leaves you hanging with, an outcome, but it kind of all worked for me. So I do recommend that one. That one was on Shudder. And then I rewatched the original Halloween as well on Shudder.
Nice.
Had to get that one in for October.
What did you watch for Devil in the title?
I did The Devil Rides Out. I was real heavy on Terrence Fisher Hammer movies this month, which, it's never
Can't go
bad,
wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, no. But yeah, this one has Christopher Lee. He and a friend attempt to save an old acquaintance from like a devil worshipping circle. So it's kind of weird. It takes place in the 1920s, which is a little weird for Hammer horror. So there's a lot of weird like car chasing scenes that kind of, took me by surprise. Like, oh yeah, this is the timeline. But there's just it's a lot of like the whole Satanist and devil worshipping aspect was a little, it's obviously dated. It was just most of it was influenced by like hypnotism and persuasion, kind of tricking people into, kind of like every religion, but it's like this weird mind control game. But the main villain guy, the main Satanist, I should say, is Charles Gray, who plays the Rocky Horror narrator, Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah,
he's kind of pulling all the strings. But it was just okay. It was slow with a few strong creep out scenes. But it's just classic Hammer. James Bernard did the score again, which was always great. But it's just kind of like a very matter of fact British horror, slow footed, exaggerating fight scenes. They swing for the fences when Christopher Lee's throwing a punch. But yeah.
Devil in the title for me was the Leon Klimovsky movie I mentioned, Devil's Possessed, 1974, which was streaming on Prime. It took me 5 sittings to finish this movie.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. The description of the movie is supposed to be, was something like, a lord is like taking women and sacrificing them to the devil to gain power or something like that. This movie has that in very small doses and is mainly about tax collecting. And then it has this sort of Robin Hood-esque subplot of this other group of people who are trying to get rid of Paul Naschy. And this movie's fucking awful and I don't want to talk about it. So moving on to horror anthology, I watched From a Whisper to a Scream, 1987. This was directed by Jeff Burr, who I should have looked at his filmography before I picked this movie. He has also directed Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, Pumpkinhead 2, Blood Wings, Stepfather 2, which isn't terrible, but still, and some Puppet Master movies. This is on Prime. I still gave it 2 stars because the cast is really what drew me in. It's got Vincent Price, Susan Tyrrell, Clu Gulager, and Cameron Mitchell in it.
Yeah, that's a good lineup.
Yeah, and bonus point. Well, it actually also got 2 stars because I can't give less than 2 stars to a movie with child murder. Cameron Mitchell, in the last segment, breaks a little girl's neck in it. So, but overall, the whole thing is there's no standout segment, which you should always. I feel like any good horror anthology, you can always pick one that you're like, yeah, that's the best one out of it. And all of them were just blah. But I had a great other watches in the category. I rewatched Asylum, which I watch every year for Halloween. Rewatched Creepshow, hadn't watched that in a few years. And Tales from the Hood, because I don't remember the last time I watched that movie. And those are all great movies.
Yeah, all of those are solid.
Yeah. What about you for horror anthology?
I watched Street Tales of Terror. And this was based. So actually, I did have your pick. What was it? From a Whisper to a Scream. And I didn't change it because I saw you posted it or anything. I changed it beforehand because I saw that Bleeding Skull actually did a short write-up about this 2004 anthology called Street Tales of Terror.
Okay.
Directed by J.D. Hawkins and Corey Shields. It's extremely DIY filmmaking. All the filmmakers involved, the cast and crew, are all Black. So that really intrigued me. And all the performances are actually really strong, and none of these people are, from what I could tell from their credits, were actually actors. Looks like they were made from, using students and stuff from a local college and stuff. But on the first story, I was sold. It was about a 12-year-old girl who gets bullied, and she's pushed into a swimming pool by, some other, not really friends, but just some girl bullies. And she can't swim. They drag her out and they leave her to die. And then 20 years later, they're kind of all, older and moms and married and have their careers. And she comes back and seeks revenge on all these three girls, basically so her mom won't cry anymore. I was like, okay, this is pretty good. But then the next ones they had really weird messages within real life problems. All of them, are just, real life problems that young people face. But the second one was about a young girl getting an abortion, and she has all these visuals of her son, her baby coming out, and, she ends up changing her mind. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. But yeah, the first one landed with me, and then the next two stories didn't work at all. And the wraparound was real weak. The wraparound was some homeless man that sees some guys and a girl murder a guy in some drug deal. And he tells them these three stories to stall them from lighting him on fire.
Okay.
The ending gets pretty fun because, he all these zombies are summoned and stuff. It gets just really, really wacky, but it was just okay. I mean, I would recommend it just because all the filmmakers involved, very DIY, and, it was all endearing to watch. And some of the stories and messages landed. It's just some of them just didn't at all. Like, made you scratch your head. But
okay. What'd you do for physical media?
I watched Vinegar Syndrome's Night Train to Terror, which I'd picked up a while back.
Okay.
The one thing, and I didn't know this, but when I put it on, it immediately started. It's a pre-show clip that always played at Terror Tuesday. It's from this movie.
Oh.
It's that guy's singing, or it's everybody's dancing in a room. He's like, everybody's got something to do.
Yeah.
Everybody but you. And I'm like, oh shit. I loved it. That was basically my favorite part of the movie because the stories are just horribly edited. It seemed like they filmed features and then just crammed them into these shorts. But it's involving, all the stories involve people that God and Satan, who are on a train, are kind of fighting over their souls. Everything kind of moves so fast that you don't really understand what's happening. And I kind of dug it, but
okay.
There's the second story. I haven't watched the special features on the Vinegar Syndrome, but they actually did film a full-length feature for the second story, which was called The Case of Greta Connors, which, in Night Train to Terror is like a 25-minute segment, but there's a full feature of it that was filmed on the special features that I need to check out.
Oh, okay.
Bonus points is Cameron Mitchell's in it too.
Hey.
He plays a cop, which always rules. So
he's sitting down the whole time?
He's sitting down and yelling.
Nice.
What about you?
I took, I don't remember what my original pick was because when I got the Universal set, like just in time for this category. And I realized I had never seen any of the movies in the Mummy series other than the original one, which even that one, I think I need to revisit because it's been since I was like a teenager. The Universal set. And so I watched The Mummy's Hand, and it's more slapstick than I was expecting, a little more comedy, and it's okay. I think I made like one note on it and I just put meh. I guess The Mummy was never really like my favorite in all of those.
Same. Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna try to give it a chance, and I did, and I'm not impressed. So I think when I go back to that set, I'm definitely gonna stick with the ones that I know and love, and stick, with their their series. So
Yeah.
not a great one. So yeah, I assume that the Mummy collection is out there by itself, and I wouldn't recommend that, but I would recommend the whole Universal set because you get all the movies and all the special features. So it's a little bit of a dud for physical media, which sucks because I had so many to choose from. Oh well. My eyes were, you get a new thing and you're like, I want to play with the new toy and what do I pick? And anyway,
Yeah.
it's okay. Then I did, the next category was Italy. And I did Eyeball, 1975, directed by Umberto Lenzi. I have the 88 Films Blu-ray for this. So I didn't know this was a giallo. I thought it was just a straight Italian horror movie until we started watching it. And I was like, oh, it's giallo. Okay. And it's okay. It's just a pretty forgettable giallo. It's got all the standard tropes in it, gloved killer and throat slashes, red herrings, and all of that. But I was kind of struggling to stay awake in some points for this one. It's got a great poster, though. It's got like a Grim Reaper guy holding two eyeballs out and a girl screaming,
Nice.
Yeah. It's another case. It's the oblong box of Italy, I guess. But I also watched Fulci's Touch of Death, which I had never seen before. And it's not good.
It's a later movie, I guess.
Yeah, it's a later movie. I don't remember the year exactly. But yeah, I had the Blu-ray for it on my shelf, and John made fun of me for buying it. And I was like, fuck you. And then he suggested watching it. And I was like, you're the one who made fun of me for buying that. And anyway, yeah, it's not very good. Anyway, what about you for Italy?
So I watched Stage Fright, which I had never seen. Suave's Stage Fright, Aquarius.
Hey, oh my God, yay.
Yeah, and I loved it. Definitely one of my favorites, if not the top in my my October picks for this.
Yeah.
But Suave did Cemetery Man, The Church, The Sect, and this one involves a group of stage actors and crew that lock themselves in a theater that they're for a rehearsal on a play that they're working on.
Yeah.
And there's like an escaped mental patient that's locked in there with them without, they don't know that, but he kind of starts murdering everybody. He's using a ton of power tools, which kind of reminded me of Blood-Sucking Pharaohs. Yes.
God damn it.
But this thing was fucking awesome. I mean, I loved everything about it. It should be on everyone's Halloween watch list every year. It's definitely going to be added to mine. Yeah, I don't really have much to say other than I fucking loved it.
Yeah. I love Giovanni Lombardi Radici in that movie. He's the best. He is just chewing up the scenery, and he's so good in it.
Yeah. And I also watched one of the Door into Darkness episodes, The Doll. I mean, it's like most of the other episodes. They start off really strong for me, but then they just lose steam. They just kind of fizzle out. Yeah.
Okay.
I do recommend them. They're all four of them are on Shudder, and they're all like under an hour, quick watches.
Okay. What'd you do for Christopher Lee?
Corridors of Blood, 1958.
Shock! 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 In all the history of horror pictures, nothing so shocking on the screen. Corridors of Blood.
Mr. Bolton, the committee have decided against holding any further demonstrations.
I tell you, I must have those chemicals.
A bargain's a bargain, eh, Doctor?
This is pretty much Boris Karloff's movie. He's the star in it, but Christopher Lee is badass too. But this is one of my favorite Karloff performances that I've seen.
Oh, okay.
He plays a surgeon who's looking to create anesthesia for surgery so patients don't feel pain. Mm-hmm. And so he's testing these formulas he's creating on himself. So he kind of starts losing his surgeon license. And Christopher Lee plays this character called Resurrection Joe. He has like these scars all over his face. He has a real cool look. He's really young in it. But he kills like these bar and hotel patrons in order to collect money for their death certificate. Because I guess way back then if you call a doctor for somebody who died in your house or somewhere around there, they give you money for a proper burial. So he's just there like killing people, and him and Boris Karloff's character kind of start teaming up so he can start like testing his formulas and stuff. But super creepy, black and white, beautifully shot. I loved it. This was a really good one. Corridors of Blood.
Where did you watch that one again?
That was on Prime.
Okay. Add it to my watch list.
Yeah.
I watched Scream of Fear, aka Taste of Fear, 1961. This is on a Shout Factory double feature Blu-ray with, what's it called? Never Take Sweets from a Stranger or Never Take Candy from a Stranger, something like that. Which that one's really good too. So I actually recommend just picking up the Shout Blu-ray. I did like this one. Lee plays a doctor who is sort of part of a scheme happening, and I don't want to give too much away because there's a twist, of course, but it's basically about driving a woman insane to collect money. Basically, like a woman in a wheelchair comes back. Her father is sort of missing, and the new wife is there, and there's a doctor there, and so you don't know like what's the deal between the doctor and the mom. But then there's like a twist at the end. I think it would make a good double feature with something like Paranoiac, with Oliver Reed, maybe even Diabolique. But yeah, I liked it a lot.
Nice.
Let's see what's next. Oh, Universal Horror. This was easy because I got my new pack or my new set. I did Dracula's Daughter, 1940, directed by Lambert Hillier. So I'm going to say this. Lugosi as Dracula is iconic, but honestly not that great. Gloria Holden, to me, is much better in a role as a vampire, but she's in a lesser movie, I think. I think that Dracula's Daughter sort of lacks the atmosphere of the original, but it's still enjoyable. There's not a whole lot of actual vampire activity going on, which it's fine because it's, old Universal vampire movie. I didn't expect like constant, neck biting or anything like that. But what would have been great is if it looked a little bit less clean. Like I wanted it to be a little bit more like the original in that sense. Mm-hmm. Lugosi is not in this for anyone who's curious. Like the story is that she goes to get her father's body, and it's implied that the body that is there is Dracula, aka and Lugosi, but you never see a close up of it. So I would recommend it because I think Gloria Holden is great in it. It loses me with, it doesn't seem to quite measure up to the atmosphere of the original, which I'm not even super hot on the original, but I think it's got a, great creepy atmosphere to it. So
yeah.
What about you? Universal Horror.
I closed out because I'd watched The Ghost of Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked House of Frankenstein to wrap up all the Frankensteins from Universal Horror.
Mm-hmm.
This was okay. It had Boris Karloff in it. He wasn't Frankenstein. He plays Dr. Neiman, who's a friend of Frankenstein's brother, and he has all his secrets. And he was imprisoned for attempting to put a human brain in a dog, which has some pretty cool like chalkboard drawings and stuff. It's kind of humorous part. But he escapes from prison with a little hunchback escapee, kind of like an Igor character. And they jump on a traveling sideshow carriage, which has the skeleton of Count Dracula in it. And John Carradine plays Dracula. So he's a skinny little Dracula. It's weird. And that whole story so basically he removes the stake from the skeleton during like one of these sideshows, and he comes back to life, and that's kind of like it for that story. It serves no purpose. And then it turns into this weird love story. Lon Chaney Jr. Shows up, and he plays Wolfman, and he's hoping that he can put his brain in a new body so he's no longer the Wolfman. That's what he wants Karloff to do. So there's a lot of cool like moving pieces, and Igor wants to be put into Wolfman's body because he wants to be powerful. And there's so many moving pieces that it became a little too much, and it became a little comedic too, a little slapstick for me. Probably my least favorite of the Frankenstein, but it's still really good. It's the same director, Earl C. Kenton, who did Ghost of Frankenstein. He also did House of Dracula.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fun way to just kind of wrap up the Frankenstein series, but it's definitely the goofiest of the batch.
Duly noted. All right. Next category, All Them Witches. What did you watch?
I watched The Witches, not the new one, but the 1991. With directed by Nicholas Roeg. I had never seen this one before. You know, I've known the Jim Henson, you know, or the stills and puppetry from it, and Angelica Houston, she looks amazing in it. So I popped it on, and it was okay. I love the first 10 minutes, which is like the grandmother introducing witches to her grandson, you know, giving him the backstory, and, you know, that they don't have any toes and their eyes glow, and real creepy kind of breakdown of witches. And then the Jim Henson effects kind of, you know, bring all that to life. But it was just kind of forgetful for me. The ending was really lame.
Okay.
So the kid, you know, people probably, a lot of spoilers, but a lot of people have probably seen this. I just haven't. But the kid, and it's a Roald Dahl story, but the kid turns into a mouse along with another kid, which has turned him into a mouse. And in the Roald Dahl story, he remains a mouse. And, you know, he's kind of happy to be a mouse. And he even says that in the movie. He's like, yeah, I have no problem being a mouse. Grandma, this is kind of nice. But Nicholas Roeg actually rewrote it to where he turns back to a kid. And Roald Dahl hated it so much that he wanted the name removed from the movie. He wanted absolutely everything that he had, you know, anything mentioning him removed from the movie. But Jim Henson, I read, talked him into keeping his name on it. But I can understand because the ending was so lame. I'm like, oh my God, this is really happening.
Yikes.
And I kept thinking like, oh, this is going to be cool. They're going to keep him as a mouse, and the grandmother's going to live the rest of her life, or I guess the son's going to live the rest of his life as a mouse with the grandmother. But it didn't happen that way. I was let down.
I've never seen it, and now I don't want to see it. So yeah.
Angelica Houston though is so good in it, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, but I'll just take your word for it. I've seen the memes of Anne Hathaway Joker smile, the new thing.
Oh, yeah. I'll probably end up watching the new one at some point.
Oh, for fuck's sake! All right,
Sir, she's good.
All right. Let's see. All Them Witches for me. Another Mexican horror movie. The Witch's Mirror, directed by Chanu I'm going to mispronounce this. Urrieta. He also directed The Brainiac. If anyone has seen that. It's 1962. Yeah. I love this movie. This was one of my favorites of the month. It starts off really quickly where this woman is afraid that her husband is going to kill her. And so she has asked the housemaid, who's also a witch, to help her, protect her. But the witch is like, I can't do anything. This is your fate. You have to accept it. The husband does end up killing his wife. So you expect it to be like her ghost is going to just haunt him. And it is that, but it adds so many more other horror elements to it. Like, you know, not just witches' curses, but like grave digging and this whole other direction that the husband takes with the new wife. And like, it's got this whole like mad doctor thing going on in it too. And yeah, it's fantastic. Unfortunately, I didn't find it streaming anywhere, so I had to download this one. So, but yeah, I've been having a fairly good streak with some Mexican horror movies lately, but then also some duds, like Kiss from Beyond the Grave was not great, but this one definitely made up for it.
Nice. Check that out.
Yeah. Witch's Mirror, 1962. All right. The next category is Gothic. I did The Picture of Dorian Gray, 1945.
If only the picture could change, and I I could be always what I am now, for that I would give everything. There's nothing in the whole world I would not give. I would give my soul for that.
Directed by Albert Lewin. This was on Prime. I did have to rent it, but I really enjoyed it. It keeps a lot of the witty, Oscar Wilde dialogue in it, which I find that, unfortunately, some adaptations that I've seen try to dumb it down a little bit for audiences. This one didn't. It runs a little longer than needed, but it still has a really good build up to the end. And like the best part, I think, though, was the actual painting itself. They showed it in color, despite the whole movie's in black and white, except for when they show the painting of Dorian Gray at the end, when it's like it's progressed and like his soul has been destroyed essentially. And it's really, really creepy.
That sounds badass.
Yeah, it was awesome. So I definitely recommend it. Picture of Dorian Gray. If you don't know the story, you should read it. It's great. But 1945, that one's on Prime to rent. So what about you for Gothic?
I watched The Vampire Lovers.
Nice.
Another Roy Ward Baker pick for this month for me. But yeah, it's just great Gothic horror. And it's bookended by some awesome decapitations in the front, at the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
Foggy hammer sets, super steamy. Peter Cushing, Ingrid Pitt. So damn hot. Everything about it.
Oh, yeah.
And then I watched Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow. Which I love. I love that one. That was probably my favorite Depp performance after Ed Wood. I really like Johnny Depp in that movie. And I think it's visually, it's just eye candy. It's just fun to watch.
Yeah. I haven't watched it since it came out, actually. I mean, I don't remember. I remember liking it, but I just haven't been inclined to revisit it.
Yeah, that was the same for me. I hadn't seen it since probably 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's been over 20 years since it was released, but
we're showing our age.
Yeah.
Okay. What did you do for slasher?
Slashers. I did 2 picks. I did Torso. Which is just a great giallo slasher mixed, scarf choking killer on the loose. Sergio Martino, who did All the Colors of the Dark, Your Vice is a Locked Room, and Only I Have the Key, which I love that one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just, it's a good, that one's been on my watch list for way too long. So I'm glad I got that one out of the way.
Nice.
And then I watched, it was a short movie, but I'm considering it a film, Halloween Party from 1989. This is another one that Bleeding Skull mentioned late into October. It's a shot on video slasher that aired on public access cable in Connecticut by a kid named Dave Skalronsky. And I guess he was probably 16 or 17 when he directed and wrote this. And it stars like his friends and his sister, and his mom actually crashes some scenes accidentally. But it's definitely worth the time. It runs just over half an hour, but it's really like 20 minutes long with super long credits and a bunch of outtakes and bloopers at the end. But it's about like kids having a party at a friend's house. And apparently the house is where a farmer once lived and killed a bunch of people. And they start watching John Carpenter's Halloween. And these girls go out to get pizza, get a flat tire, and the creepy farmer, who had really creepy mask, as the farmer comes out and starts murdering them, and then heads back to the house. They steal all these, the filmmakers steal Carpenter's Halloween score whenever the killer's on screen. So it's just, it's just a lot of fun to watch. There's no way you can rate it, but it's just a good time, and it's a short watch. So I recommend it. That's on YouTube.
Okay.
It's actually, the director himself has like a YouTube account that he's posting all his stuff on.
Oh, nice. All right. So slasher for me, I did a rewatch of Blood Rage, which is super fun. John had never seen it before. So I was like, well, you have to see this. So, he loved it. Yeah.
Nice.
And my pick though was a movie called Night Screams from 1987, directed by Alan Plone. This was on YouTube, so that should tell you that you're not in for something great. This is a fairly inept slasher, I guess I would call it. It doesn't really have any interesting kills, and it pads a lot of the runtime by having characters watching other movies. And what I thought was interesting was that there's a very long segment of a couple watching this other slasher movie, Graduation Day. Have you seen that one?
I have not seen Graduation Day.
Yeah, it's got like it's a perfect little like checks all the boxes slasher movie from the 80s. It's in that era of the height of slashers. And anyway, yeah, I was watching it and I was like, are they watching Graduation Day? And then like I think a commercial came on like, we'll be back with Graduation Day. And I was like, oh my God. But it's a very like, it's not even just like a short clip of it. It's like you're watching a whole scene from Graduation Day. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then later in the movie, the same couple is watching a John Holmes porno. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on in this movie? I mean, it's basically padding the runtime with other movies, but the choice of what movies they're watching is so random. Like, I gotta wonder if the director Alan Plone maybe knew someone associated with Graduation Day and somehow was able to get it in there, or maybe he didn't. And he just fucking was like, I'm just gonna put it in there, and no one's going to watch.
Or the studio's like, hey, yeah, you can put it in your movie, but you have to show 15 minutes of it.
Right. Yeah, maybe. Or yeah, I don't know. But the movie itself is not very good, but I thought it was interesting. There were some interesting choices made in it. I will say that. So yeah, anyway, Night Screams, 1987. That's on YouTube if you're interested. And then my pick for haunted house category was The Uninvited, 1944. I've had this Criterion Blu-ray for a while. It's been sitting on my shelf. It's basically about a brother and sister who move into a house that is haunted. A woman who killed herself by jumping off of a cliff. And then the family who, sells the house to her and their sort of interactions with each other. This is more romance than haunted house to me. And it even has like a comedy sitcom or like a sitcom-esque score occasionally. It's gorgeously shot. It's beautiful, but it's just not my jam. If I want a haunted house movie, I'm not going to reach for this again. Like I rewatched House on Haunted Hill again, like you. Rewatched Legend of Hell House. I love that movie. If I want a haunted house movie, I'm going to reach for one of those. It's a beautiful movie, but it wasn't what I wanted in a haunted house movie. So I'm just going to leave it at that. So what about you for haunted house?
I had a few picks, but I mean, my main pick was, this was kind of a spur of the moment when I changed it up. I wanted to rewatch House, the old 1989 one or whatever year it was.
Okay.
But I wanted a first time watch. So I picked Haunt on Shudder, which is released last year, 2019.
Okay.
And it's about like 6 friends entering an extreme haunted house on Halloween night. Nothing really special, nothing new. A lot of the standard, like, why the hell are they doing that moments sprinkled throughout.
Yeah.
That kind of happens in a lot of recent horrors. Produced by Eli Roth, and you can kind of see that element because there's some pretty squeamish gore scenes, hammers to the mouth, ripping open jaws, shit like that. Not, walking on nails, just a lot of industrial style music too, to build tension, which kind of feels like, it's very, and there was this one character, and I was not a fan of this guy. He was the comic relief of the group, and he reminded me of TJ Miller, the actor who I can't stand. I mean, every time he talked, he had the same voice, the kind of like the raspy voice. And I'm like, get this guy out of here, please. The final tough girl was pretty good. The final girl was cool. She was cool. But yeah, definitely. This was a Shudder exclusive, and it's a short runtime. It was, it's very middle of the road. Some of the gore scenes were good, but I guess it would be fun just to kind of put on in the background or something. But I also watched Beetlejuice, which is kind of a classic haunted house type of story.
Yay.
And then I watched Mr. Boogedy from 1986.
Okay.
This is a 45-minute short, and it was produced by Disney. It's a Disney horror, but it had David Faustino as a little kid in it, who's Bud Bundy.
Yeah.
It was just so stupid. Like this one, I actually fell asleep and I woke up the next day and like, well, I got to finish it. But I found out that there's a sequel called Bride of Boogedy that came out the next year. And that one's 90 minutes long. There's no way I could probably sit through that because it looks like it's pretty much the same cast.
Yikes.
So,
all right.
But that's my house picks.
Last spot, Halloween, Free Space. What'd you pick?
I picked Night of the Demons, 1988.
Fun.
This was a blind spot. I thought I had seen it, and I wanted to treat it as a rewatch, but I had never seen this before. I mean, I know the poster art so well, super creepy.
Yeah.
But as soon as it started, it had these animated Halloween credits with like the super eerie synth score, and I was like, fuck yeah, this is perfect for Halloween. Because I watched it Halloween morning. And it's definitely 80s, and it's got that 80s vibe, but it feels kind of timeless because so many horror movies have tried to replicate it since.
Yeah.
Because there's like so much horniness and so many like great gore effects. And the scene where Angela, who she's like the main girl doing the ritual. This one could have worked probably as haunted house kind of too, but she looked like one of those hit vampires from David's biker gang and Lost Boys when she turns into, a creepster.
Mm-hmm.
But there's that cool scene where she's just floating down the hallway, and that was super creepy. Like this thing balances creepy and comedy really well. Like we talked about comedy horrors not really working.
Yeah. This
one gave me like Return of the Living Dead vibes. Like it really worked. And then there's one shot, with Lena Quigley, who has the lipstick and she's drawing lipstick around her nipple. And then she just pushes the stick of lipstick into her nipple and it goes inside her. I'm like, oh God, this is so fucking weird.
Yeah. That movie is a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I also watched the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which is an annual October watch for me. And then I watched Halloween 2018, which I hadn't seen. I saw at the theater. And I liked it when I watched it at the theater. I liked it again, but not as much when I first saw it. I think because the hype was very real. And because I think Cody and I saw it like on our birthday in the theater and we're like, yeah, this is so cool. But I rewatched that. That's how I closed out Halloween, was watching the latest release.
Okay. I'm probably never going to rewatch that movie, but yeah. Night of the Demons. My favorite line in that is the guy who's like,
eat a bowl of fuck.
There's so many zingers, but the king of zingers is the little brother, Billy, who in the very beginning, he's just like tearing his fucking sister apart. I'm like, and the mother's just sitting there. He's just insulting her left and right.
Yeah.
So many good lines in that movie.
Yeah, that's a good one. I thinking about it, like you mentioned, it's so 80s and such a party movie and so perfect for Halloween. Like we when we do like our double feature recommendations, like I know that Nightmare Beach is the correct answer for Primal Rage, but I feel like if you're looking for like a party, like an 80s party double feature on Halloween, like this and Primal Rage would be great.
Yeah, that's a good call.
All right, so I'm going to class it up here with my Free Space pick. I did Kuroneko, a.k.a. The Black Cat, 1968, directed by Kaneto Shindo, who also did Onibaba, your pick for Japan. So this was actually a really neat experience watching it because AFS partnered with Contemporary Austin for an outdoor screening of this at their amphitheater, the Laguna Gloria amphitheater. And so getting to watch it like, outside on a chilly October night, like overlooking the lake, seeing Lars introducing the movie. I was just like, okay, it was great. Kind of like what you mentioned with Ani Baba, like that one didn't feel like a horror movie at first until like the end. This one does a lot more. Like you feel the ghost story element to it much more. So I think if you haven't seen this, if you've only seen Ani Baba and if you felt like you missed out on you missed some horror, then I would recommend this one because I actually like The Black Cat more than Ani Baba, which I think, Ani Baba seems to be the one like most people know about, and that's the one that's been on my list longer as something I felt like I needed to watch. But I actually like the Black Cat or Kuroneko a lot more than Ani Baba.
Nice.
Not a lot more. They're both great, but I got the horror that I wanted from this one.
Right.
I did watch a good chunk of other movies just for free space randomly. I rewatched Nightmare on Elm Street, Curse of the Doll People, which that one, I'm going to save my thoughts for that one because I might add that to the list for the podcast. So The Old Dark House, the original, Frankenstein's Army from 2013. John convinced me to watch this, and it was actually kind of neat. It had like some weird. Well, actually, I ruined the movie for John because the concept of it is like Frankenstein is making all these weird monster creations for World War II for the Nazis, and they're very mechanical though. And so I told John, I was like, oh, they're like steampunk monsters. And he got really upset when I said that. But I thought it was interesting. I think it was on Prime. I don't quite remember. And then we also did another movie at Blue Starlight Drive-In. We did John Carpenter's The Fog with Fog. Yeah. The Fog was not really present though. Like there was like one spurt kind of at the beginning and then they just kind of let it die out. And I was like, oh, I guess we're not really doing Fog at the Fog. So, but it was good. I had a lot of fun doing that. So, all right, let's end it on a good note. Let's start. What are your bottom pick, 3 to 5 for the month? Would you say you would say, stay away from these movies?
I would say stay away. I would say stay away from Stay Out, Stay Alive. That Barbara Crampton pick. That one was bad. Poltergeist 2. Everything I'd kind of recommend. Probably Scream and Scream Again, because that was just boring as fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Street Tales of Terror, like I said, it was very DIY, so it was endearing. I had fun watching it. It's just not, it's not good.
Sure.
But those will probably be my bottom 4.
Okay. I can 3 off the top of my Hellmaster for sure. I say that because I can't recommend someone watching it, but if they were watching it with a group of people, maybe it would work. But it was bad. Devil's Possessed. Paul Naschy is going to be hit or miss, and this was a huge miss. And then Pajama Girl Case, I know this movie has its fans. A lot of people that I follow on Letterboxd love this movie. I don't get it. I fucking hated it. I could not get with it. My top movies, though, that I would definitely recommend, and I think people should watch if you haven't already, Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell, for sure. Kuroneko, Blood and Roses, The Witch's Mirror, and Blind Beast. I got 2 Japanese ones on there. Nice. But yeah, what about you? What are your top picks?
I would definitely say Knife Plus Heart. That one blew me away. Stage Fright. Night of the Demons, which, like I said, was one I should have seen a long time ago. And then I loved Raw Meat. There's so many good ones on this, though. Corridors of Blood, Ghost of Frankenstein. I'll stop there.
Okay. That's a good sign of a good, month if you're having a hard time just picking the top few, so. Yeah,
these categories that were set up, I was really happy with all the picks.
Nice. Well, we'll do it again next year then. Maybe
Okay.
vary the categories a little bit. I'll pick half, you pick half categories. How about that?
Yes, I'm
There we
down.
All right. Well, so that's it for our picks for Horror Gives Back. Next week, we'll be back to a normal episode, just one movie this time. It's Lance's pick. We are talking about Bloodsucking Pharaohs of Pittsburgh. We're going to have our first fight, folks.
I'm just giggling over here thinking about it.
Yeah, I know. All right. If you are not already, please give us a follow on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors. You can follow both of us on Letterboxd. In show notes, we'll also have links to our Letterboxd lists for our picks for each of the categories, so you can find those there. My Letterboxd is Also Watched. You can also follow my other podcast, Customers Also Watched, at CAW Podcast on Twitter, or Facebook or Instagram at Customers Also Watched. And Lance, where can people find and follow you?
I'm El Shaibi everywhere.
Cool. Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, all the things.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you once again, not just to people listening, but to everyone who participated in Horror Gives Back, whether you just retweeted or shared the story, or if you were actually watching movies and made a donation. We really appreciate it. And I'm sure the charities that everyone donated to appreciate that as well. And we will be back next week with Bloodsucking Pharaohs of Pittsburgh. Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.
Bye, guys.